All right, we're live. Thank you for joining us on our weekly product update webinars. I haven't done one for this group in quite a while. It's kind of fun because I actually bought a new suit just before the whole shutdown pandemic thing happened. And the person who was helping me buy it was helping me pick out shirts and everything. And they were like, "Hey, are you on TV a lot? Because like this will buzz on TV." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. I like it's nice to like thank you for being flattering. No, I'm not really a TV star." And then like the whole shutdown happened, and lo and behold, I am actually on TV more than I ever thought I would be in my life. So I'm wearing a plain white shirt, and we've got our green screen set up here, so it's kind of fun, kind of like Wayne's World. Hey, we're in Delaware. I think everybody's here. We're probably right on the dot, maybe a minute or two past the start time. So I'm going to jump right into what's new for Liteline and what some of the updates that we're doing are. If we're going to progress to the first slide. And we will have agenda is we've got 5 product families that have incremental updates to the product line. We've got Genesis, which is a whole new program. Luna 2, we've made some incremental improvements. Sigma is being laid out, so it's easier to specify, use, know what problem you're using. Edge has a really cool new feature that's we try trial by fire, but it's awesome. And we have a new driver. So diving right into Genesis, we're going to spend the bulk of our time on the Genesis program, what it is, and why the world needs another commercial downlight, because it does. So let's hit slide 1 right now. So, wow, more downlights to choose from in the world. Why? What is Liteline bringing to the already incredibly diverse ranges of round holes in the ceiling? And why should we care? What's going on with it? So we sell at Liteline. I was actually doing the math the other day. We sell about 175,000 downlights a month, and so it's what we do, and we're really good at. We sort of have like the residential market, at least up in our home base here in Canada, locked up, and we're making huge inroads into production resi, specification resi, architectural resi, and we have a program of commercial, sort of general purpose commercial downlights called our ALR program. We were actually, everybody claims it, but I mean, I can prove it. We were the first to market with a purpose-built LED downlight, and then we kind of let it ride for a while. The ALR program, we introduced it 7 years ago. And the Genesis is the rebirth, the new beginning of what we're trying to do out of a commercial downlight. And we're going from first to market, and then kind of, it's true, we were short skewed on high lumen outputs, we were short skewed on some features, and then we're leapfrogging the competition and what we can do in the commercial space. So let's sort of roll back to where this downlight came from. This downlight, a high lumen downlight was historically, an 8-inch or even a 10-inch metal halide downlight. And all of our lights back in the day were omnidirectional light sources. So what does that mean? It means we've got a light bulb which spews out light 360 degrees all the way around. And then we would take that light bulb and we would put it into a reflector that looks something like this or something like this. And the shape of the reflector was defined to try to get that 360-degree bulb of light into the focal point of that reflector and then reflect it as far outwards. And that's what drove first of all, the aperture size, the size of what size do we use was driven by how much light do we need, was driven by the size of the light bulb, which determined the shape of the parabola that we needed to reflect the light. And then LEDs came out and it was, well, what should we make the commercial downlight look like? Well, we came out with the Sigma program, maybe you're familiar with, and that was different. And the market said, that's cool, but we also want it to look like the reflector that we had when the incandescent, because that's what a downlight should look like. So we made the ALR, and the ALR had a traditional parabolic reflector to cut off glare and all those sorts of things. But with the Genesis, we're saying, hey, look, LEDs work inherently differently than incandescents or than an omnidirectional light source. LEDs are inherently directional. So let's do something cool with it. So most of our competitors on the market are still doing the, parabolic reflector and with a diffusion lens to try to mimic that HID or incandescent look coming out of a commercial downlight. And we're going to do that differently. We're taking our expertise and using precision optics that we use in our Sigma program, that we use in our Luna program, that we do a really good job on optics. And we're incorporating that into a commercial downlight. So now you can have a traditional looking parabolic reflector with the optical control of a high performance downlight. So we can really get a 25-degree spot. We can get a 36-degree spot. We can do a 60-degree wide flood. And okay, so why is that cool other than the fact that you can do it? Well, let's think about this for a minute. When we start talking high lumen downlights, what we're really saying is we're not actually lighting professionals, because we really shouldn't be talking lumens in directional downlights. We should be talking candela. So while we're advertising up to 8,000 lumens, up to 4,000 lumens, what we can really do by having precision optics is start having some massive candela improvements. So if we've got like a 4-inch, 4,000 lumen fixture, in a 60-degree wide flood, we can take a 25-degree upper reflector, get 25 degrees out of this thing, and now our 4,000 lumen has the effective candela of like 7,000 or 8,000 lumen out of a 4-inch, right? And now this whole inch question, like what diameter do we use, is driven a lot more by design considerations of the space rather than mechanical and thermal considerations of, how big does the reflector have to be in order to encompass like an ED17 light bulb. So, all right, so how do we do that? Like, what's going on? Couple of things. Number one is there's nothing worse than having precision optics that are full of fingerprints. So every single optic that we ship, which is part of the standard configuration, we custom built this little kind of pizza table tool that ships snapped into the reflector. So when you're installing it, you're doing a twist and lock. Like, even if our contractors aren't wearing the gloves that they should be, because we all know that always happens, there's no reason to ever touch the inside of that reflector. So we're going to get the control. We're not going to have fingerprint imaging and stuff that comes onto it. So how does it work? All right. So you know what? I'm going to hit pause on how that works, because there's another piece we have to understand first, which is when we start talking 8,000 lumens. Now, I want to be clear about that 8,000 lumens. Our reference point for all the lumens that we're talking is 90 CRI, 3,000 or 3,500K. It's not a huge difference. So if you're comparing that to an 80 CRI, which a lot of our competitors' data sheets will be looking at, that's the equivalent to 9,000 lumens at 80 CRI, which we can supply. It's actually like up to 9,500 lumens at 80 CRI. But we're advertising at 90 CRI because that's our standard, that's our quick ship. We believe that 8,000 lumens ought to be enough for anybody, to quote computer nerds from the 80s, especially with the improved candela that we can be getting. But we're talking 100-watt fixtures here, 80, 90, 100-watt fixtures. So that's a lot of heat to dissipate. So we end up with a situation where we need a big heat sink, and big heat sinks are heavy. And now we're trying to mount these onto different types of architectural ceilings. It might be like a perforated metal ceiling. It might be some Alucobond ceiling. It might be a gyprock drywall ceiling. It might be something else. And having a pressure fit situation where we're just relying on spring clips or those types of things, I personally am not comfortable about having spring clips holding in a 6 kilogram, like 12 pound, 10 pound, I think it's 10 pound heat sink in the air, especially on the 8-inch. So what we've done is kill two birds with one stone. I can't show it on the webinar, but I'm gonna try to do my best with the hand motions. But what we have is a screw-operated mechanism which allows this solid yoke mounted to the flat frame to suspend and vertically adjust the height of the heat sink. The way that vertically, you're saying, hey, you're cheating, you're working above it. Well, there's actually a screw mechanism on the inside face of the heatsink here. So when you tighten those screws up, it cinches the reflector, the heatsink up towards the top. And what that does is, by cinching it up, is it creates a nice positive sandwich seal between the flange on the lower reflector, this parabolic thing, that traditional looking thing that we have, creates a nice solid seal against it. And it's held in tight by a worm gear screw drive. So that's never going to come down. You're never going to have your trim sort of half hanging out of the ceiling. You're never going to have a situation where the whole thing could fall out of the ceiling. And because we're now screw operated, we can accommodate ceiling thicknesses from 3 millimeters, so like like 1/8 of an inch ceiling thicknesses. So if you're doing like an architectural ceiling kind of stretch perforated metal, right up to like almost 4 or 5 inches ceiling thickness by adjusting the yoke here and the worm drive on the inside. So that's the way you install it. You lay the fixture down, you wire it up, you get your electrical approval, then you get another box that has all your optical components. That's your lower reflector, your precision upper reflector, and the diffusion lens. The diffusion lens is gasketed, so all of the entire Genesis program is wet rated by default. Because quite frankly, when I think of Genesis, I think of big floods. That's sort of like where my head's going right now in 2020. That's the idea. So by default, everything's wet rated. You don't have to specify wet rated. It's wet rated. This lens screws up inside the top here. So it's not the old shower trims where you've got like a diffusion bug catcher at the bottom or a glare bomb. You're getting precision optics. So if you're doing architectural outdoor spaces, under 30, 40-foot canopies, those kinds of things, you can still get that high candela precision optics in spot or flood in a default wet location. So how does it work? Works better when it's in the installed position because we're not fighting gravity. But basically what we've got is, now I can't see myself on the screen, so y'all are gonna have to trust, I just hope that I'm in focus here. But what we've got is 2 screws. You install this in the ceiling, drop down the heatsink. We twist and lock. We twist and lock the upper the glare reducing reflector in place. Then we never have to touch those precision optics. It drops right inside. Twist and lock. Remove the pizza table. And then you twist and lock your wet location diffusion lens in place. And you've got a positive locking precision optic wet location, best in class, best light performance in class, Energy Star approved, like every feature you'd want out of a commercial downlight. I got a question.
So would that mean that the optics can be changed without uninstalling the fixture? So it's a field changeable optic?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if it's like, hey, I want more punch out of this particular scenario, you can get up on your ladder. You don't have to break the ceiling or anything. Gravity works. That's wet location. So the lens comes out. You can take your pizza table. That unscrews, and then you can grab a different set of optics. All the optics are actually stamped with the beam angle right on the flange. They got 24. We have a 15, 24, 36, and 60 degree wide flood options for a commercial downlight. More questions?
Another question that was asked is, what is the IP rating of the fixture?
In the installed condition, it is IP66. So that's now that's weird because you're going to be like, hey, how do you get a submersion rating on a fixture? IP67 is submersion, IP66. So it's high pressure directional jets, IP66. We good? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So moving forwards, this is the 15 degree in here. Now, I've got a green screen behind me. So what's kind of cool is we can take the 4-inch here, and then I can create like a portal into space.
Yeah.
How does this look?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So so that's a 15 degree. Like we're working on a webinar camera here, but is the visual? Can we get a sense of how quiet it is, or not really?
Bring it down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I think we can get a bit of a sense of it.
Well, here we'll do it this way. So right here, so your visual field really only kicks in. Oh, I guess we can do it kind of. You know what? Why don't you just order some samples, play with it yourself, and you guys can see. We're pretty proud of it.
That works well with your hands. You can really see
so we can see when the light actually kicks in.
Yeah.
Very tight cutoff, and that's a 15 degree spot out of a commercial looking thing. So if you look at some of our competitors' data sheets, typically they call a narrow beam spread 36 to 40 degrees in this family. For us, like 36 is almost wide, which is like, which is super important. Like we said, when we're trying to get that high lumen, high ceiling mount application, boom, punch the candela. Yes.
Is it sauna rated?
Absolutely not. Well, who wants 8,000 lumens in a sauna? No, I'm teasing. All right, no, seriously though, that's a good point. Max light levels, that actually leads into another good point, which is what are min light levels. These fixtures are available in 500 lumen increments from, I think, like 800 lumens up to like 8,500 lumens at 90 CRI. Oh, I understand. You know what? The sauna is a good question. We have to check. It depends on the temperature above the sauna ceiling, because those can be very high ambient temperatures. So if it's approved for, you can use it inside the, no, you're not going to be able to. No, because the saunas can be almost 80 degrees right at the ceiling level, and that's going to be, no, not sauna rated, too hot.
All right, we have another question. Do the twist and lock pieces have a positive lock to ensure that installers do not try to over tighten or have the situation where the twist locks could come loose?
Yes. So you can't see it on the screen here, but the way the twist lock works is there, I can show it here. There are indentations in the lower reflector, and there's a channel in the injection molded diffusion piece. So you push it in, you turn it, it's graduated, and then it drops and falls into place. So like, it's not threaded, it's like a channel with a locking part for like for the indentation. And they're gasketed. So you really, and then as far as over tightening goes, it's a hand tight with sort of like these tits mounted onto the plastic part. So it's not like you couldn't get a tool on there if you wanted to. Like you're not going to be able to break it. And if you do, like I'll give you another one.
The next question was 347 volts, question mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah, sure. Oh, we should talk about that.
We do. It's the next slide. Yeah,
okay, let's do next
getting
slide.
There. Yeah.
Let's do next slide because I think that'll be a lot of the spec questions that people are going to be asking.
Okay, perfect. I think there's some questions happening in the chat. Feel free, guys, to throw those into the Q&A. I am monitoring that live. The next question that came up though in the chat is 25 degrees is a narrow flood. Will you have a 10 or 12 degree spot?
We have 15.
Let's get to the next slide. I think that.
So I just want to make a comment to that. I agree with that assessment of what the degrees mean. Yeah, and I encourage people to pay attention to other manufacturers' data sheets with how in a commercial downlight, those beam angles are correlated. So I would agree in an adjustable 2-inch, 4-inch, 3-inch fixture, that assessment, but you'll find that if you read other data sheets closely, when you start moving into 4-inch and 6-inch commercial fixtures, narrow flood starts meaning 36 on their nomenclature. And you can email me after, I'll prove it, but that's fine.
Sounds good. And also, if you look down to the bottom of this slide, we have our optics there. We're starting at 15 degree spot, 21 degree, 11 medium at 35, a wide at 63, and we will have a wall wash that's coming soon.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, drivers. All right. Other things, it's available in tunable white. The tunable white can be done either by dual 0 to 10 volt control, PoE control, Silvair, Kasambi, some other cool stuff that we're going to be bringing out. Basically, yeah, you can do tunable white on it. DMX, Dolly, it should say Dolly 2.0. Battery backups emergency 120 to 277. Oh, there's another super cool thing about it. We're using the same, we only have 2 size heat sinks for the fixture. What that means is that at lower drive currents, we're really overbuilding it. What that means is up to 4,000 lumens, you can get it in type IC.
Awesome.
You can just drop your insulation right on top of it. That is approved up to 2,000 lumens in the 4-inch and 4,000 lumens in the 6-inch. You can just drop insulation right on top. Direct contact with insulation.
To that point, we get a lot of requests for multi-volts from the US from 120 through 277 volts. So for that type IC,
up to
we will have a multi-volt on any of those type IC fixtures.
Yeah. All right, okay, we'll do a Q&A on Genesis and then we'll move into the next update. Any other questions on Genesis?
Yeah, we got another one. Tunable white with Lutron T-Series driver. Will that be
Yes.
available? Yes. Let's talk about, do you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. So yes, we will have the tunable white on the Lutron T-Series driver. If there's any, is the Triac ELV 0 to 10 volt option available for all lumen outputs?
No. Triac maxes out at 4,000 lumens. Once you're above 4,000 lumens, we have to go into some heavy duty drivers, and those are 0 to 10 only.
Joe requested price points. Joe will connect after on that. This is a public forum here.
How much does it cost? Like $1 million. No, we're in it to win it.
Yeah.
We're in it to win it. We're not losing projects on price.
We're competitive here. Let us know where we need to be, and we'll get there to win the project. 347 integral driver.
Yes.
Retrofit option. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Ooh, retrofit. Okay, retrofit can mean two different things. So there's a remodel and there's a retrofit. We have a remodel frame, which is, for post-work construction. A retrofit is sometimes referred to if you have an existing HID fixture. Can we disassemble the HID fixture and then use this as a module to go into it? Maybe. It's not approved under UL 5098 class type C, classified luminaire, because that's where you you disassemble the part, you disconnect the socket, you wire their socket into our socket, and you do a thing for energy rebates. That doesn't work. But what you can do is take out the reflector on the big one and use our remodel fixture and just slide it up through the existing frame and then hardwire in our fixture. So you don't have to remove the existing frame that's there. You just sort of use our remodel fixture through the existing one. So you're not technically retrofitting the fixture that's up there.
Is that similar to our quick change?
No, the quick change is a class C where you actually wire our quick change right into their junction box.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
Okay, rewire.
The reason why, just to be clear, is because of the screw operating mechanism. We need to have our bracket to hold the heat sink of that weight. You can't just have spring clips or something. That's not sufficient mechanism. So you have to use our assembly to actually make it go.
Custom goof rings?
Don't goof. No, yeah, sure, why not?
Not in stock yet, but we can certainly do it. Adjustable accent.
No. This is a high lumen downlight for commercial applications. For adjustable series, I highly recommend you check out our Sigma commercial, which is coming up next, or our Helios program. This is not an accent light. This is base building commercial.
The next question was 8-inch. Yep, we're doing a.
Yep.
Okay, you want to go over the sizes again?
It was 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
4, 6, and 8 are coming in the first batch. 10 and 12 will be in the coming soon.
4, 6, and 8 are quick ship. 10 and 12 are lead time.
And then there'll be a square version as well in the 6 and 8.
Yeah. Oh. And the cylinder. Same optics, same construction. Cylinder is also wet location rated. So that's an indoor-outdoor downlight. The cylinder is good. This is 3D printed. Forgive me for the top part, but the cylinder is good for surface mount, pendant mount, and aircraft cable mount.
Is there anything that stops the screw operating mechanism from over torquing or stripping?
Yes. How to do this in a webinar. So, but I love that there is so much interest in this. So I'm going to take the time to do this properly. Do you have the power driver anywhere? I think it might just be outside the room. So the way the screw operated mechanism works is it's not the way it works is you've got two different sets of screws inside here. These screws are for cinching down the outer reflector, and then these screws are for adjusting the height of the heatsink. So the way it works is you back off the screws, and the screws are a panhead screw, and the heatsink itself the heatsink itself freely slides on a set of posts inside the actual heatsink. When the heatsink reaches the top of the post, it interfaces with the top bracket, and because it's a panhead screw, the panhead on the actual screw is what I would do this with a power driver if I was installing it, but the panhead on the screw itself can't be over tightened because like it doesn't move anymore. So it's not like you've got a worm. Okay, I used worm gear on it. The screw mechanism is a threaded post that extends through the heatsink, not like a gearing mechanism, if that makes any sense. So it's like you don't have to worry about jams or torquing out of shape or anything like that. It's just a freely floating heatsink with two panhead screws that cinch it and hold the heatsink in place.
Cool. Cylinder, wet location, up, down with different optics or just downlight?
Just downlight, wet location, and yes, the optical assembly of the cylinder is identical. Instead of having a metal frame housing, it's a cylindrical wall outside, but all the same optics.
Excellent. I think that's it for questions on Genesis, so we'll move on.
Shipping January. All right, Lunas. Whew. Okay. Overview. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with our Luna family, you're probably not familiar with Liteline. So I encourage any of you who aren't familiar either to talk to your RSM or to your sales rep and say, hey, what's the Luna family? Because it is, in my opinion, the best downlight in the world. I'm biased, but I encourage you to examine it and form your own opinion as to whether I'm right or extremely right. So the core part of our Luna family is our 3.5-inch and 4-inch products, which have a whole bunch of like never before seen features, all in the same thing, all in the same product. So they are color selectable, they're tiltable and wet location, they're regressed, they're low glare, they're type IC, they're like, hey, does that have a feature? Like 90% of them, it's yes, right? And then that's like our core 3.5-inch and 4-inch program. We also go bigger when you want to push like, you know, a resi kind of Luna fixture into a commercial space. That's our Luna 56 family, which is awesome, you know, like in exchange for like, you know, traditional 6-inch or 5-inch housing. And then we go smaller where we want to get into the 2-inch space, but we don't have a budget of like $250 a fixture or $100 a fixture. We're like half that for a 2-inch fixture. So it's got a bunch of cool features. It's color selectable. It's like 560 lumens. It's Title 24 J8 Energy Star wet location. It doesn't tilt. We've had it for a while, but we made a change to it. It's smaller. Can you go to the next slide?
Sure can.
Okay, cool. Let's get nerdy. We've had the 2-inch for 2 years. The main comment we got is, hey, you guys have an awesome 2-inch program. Why do you make the flange so big? And we're like, you're right. So we made it smaller. It's cool now. The same cut hole size. We shrunk down the height, so now you can get like 500 lumens in like the size of what a cabinet light used to be. They're great for showers, over bars. Like they don't walkways, porte cocheres. They don't have to be a wet location. Anywhere you want, like, so now you're getting what we used to get out of a high performance MR16 50 water in the form factor of an MR11 and but better. So that's what's new. They're in stock. They're cool. I like them. Yeah, it's smaller and prettier. Same light output.
Jason says, thank you, about time.
Jason from
Sorbera.
Oh, cool. You're welcome. Thanks for waiting.
Carlos wants to know about glare.
Carlos from Dark Tools
No reflex.
wants to know about glare.
Yeah, he's like, well, now that it's smaller, is it glarier?
No. Can you go back 2 slides?
On that small unit? Okay.
Yeah, stay there. Okay. The optical chamber has not changed. we've changed the, it's hard to tell in that picture. Go to the mechanical size. There you go. Yeah, the optical chamber hasn't changed. The outer flange diameter has shrunk down. So it's the same Luna 2 you know and love, but Mike Castelli approved. So.
Yes, cosmetic change only, exactly. And then Ian would like to know if we're doing a 2-inch gimbal.
Let me introduce you to our Helios program.
All right.
Is that Ian or Merwin?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Luna, so that was me being sarcastic because we're in the webinar room here and it's sound insulated and our HVAC isn't on. So I'm kind of doing my thing here. No, so but in all seriousness, the design application for the Luna is where we want a 2-inch, but we don't want to stretch to like $200 a fixture. If it's, hey, we want to tilt and aim and have very precision optics, you know, you can step up to the Sigma 2 series or the Helios 2 series. Each of those give you more options, more adjustability, more specifiability, and come at, you know, the incremental price point. So the Luna is a great, you know, kind of Swiss Army knife, which is the wrong tool for everything, but you have it. And then you can get up into custom tools for lighting very specific architectural spaces. If we made the Luna do everything, nobody would buy our Helios. Okay, next. Oh,
Sigma commercial.
Okay, keeping it rolling. Sigma commercial. Okay, so that was a great lead into what we had going on before. So the Sigma series, I love it. It's cool. We've had the Sigma 2 series is like 85% of our Sigma sales. And the larger Sigmas haven't always got the love and attention that I think they deserve for 2 reasons. One is they really start to compete with the space that we're doing in Genesis, where people are like, yeah, I want 4,000 lumens, but I want it to look like the 4,000 lumen fixture I had from 1996 from Liteline. And I'm like, well, why don't you try the Sigma one? And they're like, oh, yeah, I can see that. Oh, man, this thing's really confusing. I want to go back to this one. So design aesthetics, we haven't changed, same product, but we have changed how we market it. So now, it's 5 years into since we've launched it. We're on the 3 generations of chips later. So the top end light out, the efficiency has doubled, and the top end of the fixture has dramatically increased. So now we have the Sigma 2, which is remaining untouched, but the 3445 is now the 3000, 4000, 5000 series. And the number refers to the max lumens per series size. So it's a Sigma 3000 lumen, 4000 lumen, 5000 lumen application. And then we've just been building on the specifiability and available options on it. So we have more driver options. It's now available with emergency backup. It's available with 277, 347, Dolly 2.0, DMX, like the Ecos Neutron stuff. Like the list is pretty extensive what we can drive it by. And we've introduced a split chip option. So what does that mean? Frequently, we don't want to have the high performance aesthetic trims and optics on site during construction phase. So what that means is we actually will ship the frame and driver assembly beforehand and then ship the optical part separately. So when you're writing your specification, you can specify out the fixture that you want, and then you can even modify it later and specify how you want the product shipped, and we can keep track of that internally. So we'll build the entire order, we'll quote the whole order with lead time, and then we'll hold the second portion and ship upon release. So you can go get the fixtures roughed in, get the ceiling signed, get the electrical signed off, close the ceiling, and then ship the optical portion separately. So it's just a fantastic, it's not like a special favor you have to ask us anymore. Just build it right into the item number, whether you want everything shipped at the same time or to ship separately. What do we got? Oh, right, okay. So this is fun. So kind of oversized. So three families, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. There's your lumen options. Once again, 90 CRI plus, usually about 95 CRI. It's a Bridgelux Vero 6 series chip for those who are always curious as to what chip we use. It's available in 500 lumen increments. And then the trim sizes, this is fun. There's lots of different trims available for Sigma, but we often get asked what the maximum outer flange dimension is for the biggest trim that we have in the series. So the Sigma 5 has a 7-inch outer flange, still it's a 5-inch light emitting surface. And it's available 7, we're very precise, 7 in 15, 30 seconds, and 9 in a 16. Why? Because it's actually engineered in metric, and we converted that into imperial for this slide. So it's a precise, it's 115 millimeters, but that's around 75 millimeters, but that's fine. So that's what it's available in.
We got a lot of buzz coming from the Boston office.
Yes.
How is color over angle with the new and improved Sigma?
That's a fantastic question. We didn't change the optical chamber on Sigma. We've changed how we lay it out on the data sheet, and we've increased the lumens by using a newer series of Bridgelux chips on it. So color over angle. Wow, I could talk about that for a while. It is excellent because we have fantastic color uniformity throughout the field. Color over angle isn't. Is there a follow-up question? Like, are we driving at anything specifically? There hasn't been a
Paul, would you be able to open up on that question a little bit more?
All right, I'm just sorry, I'm staring blankly.
For our fussy ... clients.
The color over angle is fantastic, and we actually have a really neat goniometer at Liteline. So most goniometers can measure luminous intensity over angle, or they can measure, and then you would use an integrating sphere for color. But our goniometer actually measures intensity and spectral distribution, which is color. So we can actually provide an entire table of values of spectral distribution over the tilt angle of the fixture. So if we're dealing with a fussy designer, I will flood them with data and make them beg for mercy until they understand it. And but it's good. Our color over angle is excellent.
Okay, Carlos expanded upon this. Color over angle is more of a lighting designer looking at a green band on the wall when doing on-site demos.
Correct. Okay, so that's, yeah, so right. So there's two ways of looking at that. So really the question is, it comes down to a light measurement scenario. So typically, if you go to DLC or Energy Star or any of the other third-party labs, and you say, hey, I want an LM79 report. They're going to give you there's two tests that they're going to do. Well, a couple, but the two main tests is they're going to give you an integrating sphere report, and they're going to give you a light distribution report. So the integrating sphere takes, you take the fixture and you put it in the big lumen ball, and then you take all the color that comes out of it, and you bounce it off the walls and you measure it at a single point. So it's integrating all the spectral bands. You're getting an average CCT. You're getting an average CRI. You're getting a blending of all the light. What that doesn't capture is if the light is significantly different at different points of the fixture. Then you take that fixture and you put it into your goniometer. And the goniometer is only measuring radiative intensity. It's not measuring color. So it's saying, hey, how bright is it at 90 degrees, 85 degrees, 80 degrees, 7, all the way through the band, then you rotate it and you do it again and again. But you're not measuring color at that point. We do. So, but the thing is LM79 doesn't, I'm gonna look to be corrected on this. My understanding is that LM79 doesn't have a standard for measuring color over angle. So people get these things on site and it's like, I got pinks and blues and stuff all over the walls here. But sure, the center beam is fine, but like, you know, it's the difference between average. I mean, I could get really sidetracked on that, but the point is with color over angle, something we pay a lot of attention to make sure that we have excellent mixing and we're not ending up with weird color bands on the walls. And we can provide the spectral distribution over angle data, and happy to do it. So it's really good.
We're also super happy to send you a sample. You can test in your office before you go out, see how it looks, and get comfortable with it.
That's about, yeah, it's probably better than the table of data.
I think Joe is requesting some more downlights here.
More downlights? Okay.
Are we able to blend the look of the Genesis downlight with the Sigma commercial for instances when we need the adjustability? Basically, if these fixtures are in the same space, I would like a somewhat similar look. So I guess adjustability with a look of a Genesis.
You know what? For this webinar, I'm going to say no, not right now. But that's if we can have a follow-up conversation about that, I'd like to understand the request a little bit more.
I think maybe I could answer this. The Sigma series isn't only in white. We now have an Alzac reflector option for the Sigma series. So that might, using one of the baffle versions mixed with a Sigma adjustable might be the solution, but we could definitely have
I know where he's going.
We're
talking about a space, you got like a museum or retail, where you want to have some accent lighting, but also use downlights for the same general illumination.
Yeah.
But in those types of situations, we're not generally dealing with like 6, 8, 10,000 lumen stuff. We're dealing with like 2,000 to 4,000 lumens. That's exactly what the Helios 3 and 4 series are for. They're available in a straight cone downlight or tiltable, aimable, and wall wash.
The Sigma also has all these, just to add to that, each of these Sigma sizes that you're seeing trim size, but that's not just adjustable. Those have adjustability and fixed options with each of the larger Sigma commercial that we can go into another time. And
Guys,
just as
I
that
am
helps.
super impressed. This is by far the most interactive webinar I have ever had. It almost feels like we're not in lockdown and we're back to the sales conference and I get drunk with all of you guys in an hour. So I might be drinking alone, but I'm going to tell myself that we're all together. All right,
I got your back. Sorry, one more question there. Oh, no, that was in. He's good with that. All right, next up.
Okay, Edge. This one is for Team Boston. So the Edge is cool. We love it. We're selling tons of them. It goes great. And then what happens is we've had some people put them into 9/16 T-bar, which we didn't initially anticipate would be a big deal, but it turns out that it is. So thank you, Miriam and Team Boston. We built a really cool adapter for it. So Sarah, tell me how this thing looks in the camera. Is this thing visible?
Yeah.
So the issue is you take this and you just lay it right into your 15/16 T-bar, and it looks amazing and it's perfect. But then we go to 9/16 and suddenly you can see the rivets around the end which hold the earthquake retention clips. So what we've done is build a flange that sits right inside the edge of that fixture and finishes the look. So it, hold on, just give me a sec. Finishes the look. So now there's no visible rivets or spaces or gaps from below the bottom, and it sits nice and snug in a 9/16 T-bar application.
I'm going to do a zoom in here because Dan's stuck behind a bunch of tables, but it actually is quite sleek. You can see that there. 360.
So on the data sheet for Edge, you will see a new option. It's not available as a separate item number. Basically, you select the Edge, whether you want it for 15/16 T-bar or 9/16 T-bar. And yeah, the 9/16 T-bar will ship with that flange already in place. If you have some installations that are already ongoing and you email me about them every day, we will have them on site, and it's an easy fix to snap into place and then retro. There's no new wiring, no new fixtures or anything like that. We also have 4x4 options available and a 30-foot extension cord for people that really want to take their edges to the edge of reality.
We have a question in Boston, of course. How much does the flange add to the unit? By the way,
$0. $0. If you, we're not upcharging for it. It's the way it should have been from the beginning. And sorry, the Canadian thing, we'll own that. No, same price.
And it's available on the spec sheet, so you can specify it, click a box, and get the accessory already installed on the fixture in the same box.
No, ship as a kit. We're not stocking this box. I want to figure it out.
Oh, let PD know.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's it'll ship in 2 boxes.
Change of plan, 2 boxes.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
Which is good because for those of your distributors that are stocking the edges in the standard format, they can just order extra ones.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Are we at the end of our 45 minutes?
4x4.
Yeah, we have a 4x4 option.
I think that there's just one more thing that's on here, and we have a new driver available.
What's this about?
This is the new 0 to 10 volt dimmable driver. That's the on stock. 24 volts. So
Oh,
0 to 10.
yeah, okay. I know what this is about. This is a minor update, not what we would typically leave for a grand finale. Because, oh my God, we're changing the world. Almost not at all. Basically what it is. We do a lot of cool constant voltage stuff, whether it's our tape or our micro LEDs, our step lights, our fossil. Our initial conception for this is that, hey, we want to we were like residentially oriented, where it's like, so we do the best triac dimming for constant voltage in the industry, bar none. I will challenge anybody to a fight with broken bottles over that. But sometimes we're like, hey, I want it with 0 to 10. And we're like, okay. So we made one. So now we have a, it's actually 96 watt. It's class 2 max. So you can max out your class 2 circuit on a 0 to 10 volt control. And that's just something you select from the data sheet when you're using fossil or step lights or any of those other kinds of products.
Are all the new products just announced live on Liteline's website? Do you want me to answer that?
I don't know.
Okay, so everything except for the Genesis is live. All the smaller updates are live. Genesis is not up yet. We're still running all the photometrics and all the different dimension sizes
And
color
files.
options. So those will be up as soon as all of our data is complete in the coming month or so. And Revit files.
And that's another update at Liteline.
Yeah.
Maurizio is a new team member, and he is responsible for producing Revit files. We believe we have our Revit files done for Edge now, for several of our track heads, and for Click.
Forum as well.
Forum, yeah, so the Forum frame system. So basically all of our complicated build-out systems like the Forum frame or Edge or Click, we now have full Revit files available that are making their way onto our website. And then we have the ability fairly quickly to turn them around if you have a specific application. Like, hey, I got this project, I need the Revit file. We now have the capability to build the Revit file. So I'm excited about that too. Maurizio's doing a great job. Thanks, Maurizio.
Perfect. I think that's all the questions answered. I'll pop into the chat and see if there's any that we're missing. But feel free to stick around, ask any questions you have.